Here we need to discuss about the pipeline design and construction. In this course, this session, it will be applied for the onshore or offshore pipeline. We discuss here in general about the pipeline, how can we make the design for the pipeline and do the construction in case for the onshore, and it will do installation in case for the offshore. Okay. Here we need first to define some point of definition to be in the same page when discussed during the course. We have I make two separate courses, one for the onshore pipeline and the other for the offshore pipeline, because if you are interested in this type of the project or another type of the project, the concept is different, because they have some know-how here in the onshore and another way of vision or paradigm if we deal with the offshore and so on, onshore and offshore. Okay, here we need to define, as we presented here, about two things, about the pipeline and the piping. What's the difference between the pipeline and the piping? It will be very important because pipe, it will be similar for the both, but what about the difference between them? Here we have in this photo, piping, it will be inside the plant, connected between the vessel, between the pressure vessels, whatever the equipment and so on. Inside the plant, it will be piping. Pipeline, it will be like in the right and the left drawing, it will be long distance. So it will be long distance, it will be from pipeline from country to another. Okay, in case of offshore, it will be from platform to another platform, or platform to the onshore and so on. In the pipeline for the onshore, as I mentioned, be from country to another. This is the main difference between them. And also here we can present it also according to the code and the standard. Here it will be ASME 31.3, here 31.4 and 31.8. So ASME in his code and the standard difference between the plant and the pipeline. 0.4, 1.8 is different between, we discussed it in deeply during the course. It will be in case of the urban location or case inside the town, and different between the gas and the oil, and in case of the multi-phase fluid or single-phase fluid, or just single water or oil or double-phase fluid and so on. We discuss about it engineering during the course also, but we'll focus here in this course about the stresses. Most of the pipeline in the market, 90% of the designer of the pipeline, 90% it will be civil engineer. Okay, piping, most of them it will be a mechanical engineering working on it. Okay, this is generic. So we focus our course according to the pipeline, because most of our work as a civil engineering, we are working also for the pipeline. However, we have some trick, have some know-how, have some code and standard should be applied when you are working on the pipeline. Okay, in case of that, we need to define between the both. Piping designer, piping material, piping stress assets. Really, for some engineering firm, we have some engineering team responsible for piping designer. Most of them, it will be working by BDMS, Plan Design Management System, or BDS, Plan Design System, and so on. The another, because here about the model, software model, like if you are working in residential building like the PIM. For BDMS, it will be first working on the oil and the gas before the PIM and Revit and so on, but the same concept. Okay, but it will be more advanced because it starts early from 1990, in the early 1990s, start the BDMS and so on. Here, just to avoid, you can see, avoid the clashes between the steel structure, between the piping, location of the valve, location of the flanges and so on. So avoid the clashes according to the piping design. Okay. Piping material, the man is most about the selection of the material, of the piping, the materials for the valves and so on, because sometimes it will be the crude oil have the, for example, have a higher H2S or we have some sort of in case of the petrochemical, in case of the refinery, maybe have some different materials. We need to select the material of the steel to avoid the corrosion and make it durability according along its lifetime for the usage. And to adjust regularity for the hydrocarbon inside the pipeline and so on. Then we go through the pipe stress analysis, which working like we are working, but we use the software here, Caesar and AutoPipe and so on. In the same, it is the piping and the pipeline. We use the same. We define about the stresses. What about define about the support itself in case of the piping? What about the piping itself? The strain of the piping. Define about the stresses on it. According to defining the stresses after applying the load, like the steel structure that working by state. We are working here by Caesar or AutoPipe, but the same concept of the structure, it will be the same. So in general, we have three types of engineering: piping designer, piping material, piping stresses. In case of the pipeline, we have piping designer. We don't have piping designer because it will be along the pipeline. You already make this selection about the route you do by yourself, okay, as the pipeline engineer. But I have to here make according to the definition. Who define about the flow assurance or called the hydraulic calculation? The hydraulic calculation is done by the process engineer. Process engineer who is responsible to do the software to do the calculation of the hydraulic calculation for it, because you have the pressure for the suction, discharge, for the fluid properties, for the temperature, and so on. All this data, he go to his simulation, and according to his simulation, decided to you what about the diameter of the pipelines. So here's the flow assurance. Or flow assurance, it will be in most oil and gas company called the technical term hydraulic calculation, as in the university and college and so on. Use the same equation in case of the depend on the type of the fluid. It will be water, oil, or gas, or multi-phase or three-phase. Sometimes it will be water, oil, and gas. It will be the same pipeline. Sometimes it will be water and oil and so on. In any way, according to the software they are using, like HISEM or whatever, he using software. At the end, as the pipeline engineer, he need to define to me what about the diameter of the pipeline. Okay. Then about the thickness of the pipeline, it will be as the pipeline engineer we discuss together how can we define the thickness in case of the onshore pipeline or in case of the offshore pipeline. So this is data. So as the offshore pipeline, also I have the data about the topographic survey in case of the offshore, onshore, about the right of way, define about the route, what about the stress affecting wind stresses, seismic stresses, according to the load that will be applied on it, according to the, in addition to the temperature of the liquid or the temperature outside, due to the temperature effect from outside. Some country like in Russia, we have a lot of pipeline with very cold temperature, and sometimes in case of the hot temperature, like in case of the Middle East, for example. For the onshore pipelines, we have two scenarios: be buried pipelines, so to be digging and descend filling it by soil, or make the pile on the support, as you can see here in this photo. The pipeline here we define as a designer what about the supports that we have. It will be anchor supports, anchor it will be fixed support as a structural engineer. There is no rotations, there is no X, Y, and Z. In case of sliding, I accept it to be an axial force. Guided, in this case, it will be a sliding, it will be assumed you have an axial force. Guided, it will be have restraint according to the lateral movement. I make restraint for the lateral movement. So, as a pipeline engineer, define according to the support itself that you require. Then, according to the run of the model itself, putting all the data that we discussed about the temperature, about the internal pressure, about the about the wind effect, about the seismic effect, about the loads that we have, the weight in case of concentrated valve and some sort of this or other according to the mode of operation should be fine. Then we go through design according to the pipeline as we mentioned. In case of the offshore, it will be a same, define about the rules that we have, we make bathymetric survey, then we need to define here about the way of the installation itself. Way of the installation, it will be S tube or J tube or rail according to the many factors we discuss accordingly in the course itself. And then we have water effect, we have the wave effect. It will be a major effect here for any offshore. Sometimes we called for textbook mentioned it to be offshore pipeline, some things could be subsea pipeline. It will be the same, okay, because the pipeline at the end it will be on the seabed. For subsea pipeline, maybe you have a higher head in case of the deep water and so on. But in any way, it will be the same concept on it, according to the level of the waters that we have. What about the pressures that will be affected, about the bottom stability, about the effect of we have some matrices. How can we design about the matrices? How can we design according to the coating for the stability of the pipeline itself? So all this should be discussed. Avoid buckling, avoid propagation of the buckling. All this should be avoided when you're designing the offshore pipeline. Okay, we design the offshore pipeline also for the carrying the load and also during the stresses during the installation. So we have more than one mode of failure. So we discuss the mode of failure in case of the onshore pipeline or the offshore pipeline or the mode of failure, because our design to be based on to cover all these mode of failure according to the load effect that affect your pipelines. Okay, so we cover all this in the two separate courses. One for the onshore pipeline design and construction, another for the offshore pipeline design and installation. If you have any question, if you need any sort of more data or need to discuss or need to increase some topic or discuss with another topic, or you have some issue you need to discuss, let us discuss together about it. This is my contact, and also we have through the email, WhatsApp and LinkedIn and so on. Thank you.